Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Terrible Landlord to me, and it has some trigger warnings on the story of blackmail, indecent exposure near a school, oof, identity theft, financial fraud, public disturbance, and mental health issues. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. And it's titled, Landlord opened credit cards in my name and stole my identity to fix the house I rent. I now owe $10,000, and he said he's going to file an eviction on me if I tell the police. I've been renting from a private landlord for the last 18 months at a decent rate, but the house definitely needed repairs. Back in February, several of the repairs were made, which were a long time coming, but I was alright with it finally getting done. My plan is to buy a house in January, unless I get the job I just applied for in a different city, where I'd rent for a year before buying. 2 weeks ago, I received a letter in the mail saying I owed a credit card company nearly $6,000. Since I believed it was fraudulent, I disputed the collection notice in writing well within the 30 days it said I had. Yesterday, I get a call from a different collection agency looking to collect a credit card debt of almost $4,000. I told him it wasn't mine, and they provided me with a little bit of information about the account. It looks like the address on it is my landlord's. This morning, I was able to get a statement from the credit card company, and it looks like it was opened near the end of January, and all the charges are basically at either Lowe's or fast food places throughout February. I'm working on getting the other statement, but I suspect they'll show the same thing. When I checked my credit, neither one of them ever showed as having a payment on them. Both addresses show as his address. It's obvious to me that he opened credit cards in my name, probably using info from my rental application, and charged everything to my name to fix the house that he owns. I called him and explained that he needs to pay off the cards and that I'm going to file an identity theft report. He admitted he opened the cards in my name, but that I was benefiting from it. House repairs, so I couldn't file a police report. When I told him I absolutely can, he said he'd just start a 30-day eviction process. I can't have an eviction on my record. I wouldn't be able to get a mortgage for years and would probably not be able to rent again for at least 3 to 4 years. I feel like I'm stuck at this point. When I tried saying something to him over text, he just didn't respond. It's like he knows not to put anything in writing. When I spoke with a lawyer friend about it, he said the identity theft is a criminal issue, but the eviction is a civil issue, and he could probably go through with it. OP adds that, I forgot to mention, my roommate is out of town, but I texted him about it yesterday. He said he got a weird credit alert in March. He disputed it and never heard anything else about it. He said he'd look into it when he's back on Monday. The top commenter on this one said, copying this for every identity theft situation I see on here, since it seems to happen a lot, where you know who the person is who stole your identity. This is all information you can find in this sub and others. 1. Call the police. You're the victim of identity theft. Plain and simple. It doesn't matter who did it or what your relationship is to them. They broke the law. Now they have to face the consequences of their actions. 2. Freeze your credit. You want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Take the proactive route of freezing your credit. 3. Monitor and track your credit. You need to be alerted if anyone tries opening a line of credit in your name. This gives you a way to do it for free, and it shows your credit score. 4. Warn anyone else who might be a victim. This includes family members or anyone else whose social security number might be compromised by the thief. 5. Take the police report to the credit bureaus. Give them the report number when you dispute all of the accounts. That will be enough for them to take the accounts off of your credit. It's on the creditors themselves to prove the accounts are legitimately yours, and the bureaus aren't going to get in the middle of it. A police report goes a long way in clearing up your credit. Don't take identity theft lying down, even if it's someone close to you. If you let them get away with it, get ready for 5 to 10 years of bad credit, collection agencies coming after you, lawsuits, etc. You can use your criminal case against your landlord to likely stay in eviction in a civil case. Your best bet is to get a lawyer for your eviction, assuming he does go through with it. That being said, just because he files doesn't mean he will get it granted, which is what a background check companies actually look for. You really need to call the police, because if you don't, he'll have you over a barrel. I'd also recommend freezing your credit and getting a credit monitor. You'd have caught this earlier if you did. That's more of a warning going forward. Make the police report. Don't talk to your landlord at all. Give the report or number to the credit card companies and collection agencies and wait 1 to 2 months until it all falls off. And OP responded to that saying, I appreciate the thought out response. Definitely going to go forward with this. Commenter 2 says, first file the report. Second, the eviction can be removed if it's proven it is retaliation. Then there will be a blackmail charge too. If you can get it recorded or documented, this could be in your benefit. Note, that may not be legal in some states. And this might come across as just like a very ignorant comment from me because I don't know too much about this kind of thing, but it always makes me think about how often this kind of thing happens in the world, how many people actually get away with it, especially being so obvious. I mean, OP said the address on it was his landlord, so it's obvious who was doing it. And he thought he was just going to get away with it by threatening OP. But nearly 7 months after that post, OP updated and said, this is the OP from a while back, and shares the link. It's been a kind of a wild ride the past few months, but it ended up working out for me. When I made the police report and disputed through the credit agencies, both accounts ended up going away. I haven't heard anything else from the collection agency either. By November, my credit score was up to 780. The landlord did exactly what he threatened to do and filed for an eviction. I was told after a couple of weeks by the police that the county was pressing charges for identity theft as long as I still wanted to go with it. Of course I did. I also learned he had another identity theft case on him from pretty much the same time. My eviction hearing came and went. He didn't show up and I explained the identity theft case. The judge threw out the eviction. I ended up buying a house in January and moved out from that piece of shit landlord's place. The reason I'm updating today is that I got a call from the prosecutor's office. It says he didn't, but then it says got arrested on the identity theft charge and had a new court date last month. Between his arrest and the last court date, he got arrested again for pounding off, and then it says an IASIP term, which I did a quick Google of that, and it says it's always sunny in Philadelphia, outside of a school. Whew. He then got arrested again last week for urinating inside of Walmart. Like in an aisle, not the bathroom. The person from the prosecutor's office says it looks like he's gone off the deep end, and they're going to push for mental health treatment and a long term of probation if I was alright with it. If he gets into any other trouble on probation, he'd probably be sentenced at least to a state mental health facility, if not jail. I said I was fine with that, and they said they'd update me if they needed anything else. If the mental health treatment sticks, I'd say great, but I feel like maybe it's just a ruse to get out of having to take responsibility for what he did. The comment on this one says you did everything right and the system worked the way it's supposed to. I'm glad this worked out for you. Thanks for the update. Commenter says file, and also tell the police about the blackmail. Keep any and all notes that he may have said, or hell, even record him and tell him that you will tell the police just to get the confession. Risky though. In court, they will lose everything, and it's their own scummy fault. Identity theft is no joke. Edit to add, I'm certainly no lawyer, but this is what I would do. Gee bloody whiz. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Some Case, and it says, I, 29 male, just spent another awkward holiday with my girlfriend's 28 female rich family. My girlfriend and I have been together almost 3 years. 99% of the time, we're great. She's funny and smart, and we have a lot of shared interests. But every time we visit her family, I start doubting everything. They are very wealthy, which by itself is not a bad thing, but they're also very fixated on being rich and have a habit of placing the monetary value of things and people over everything else. I come from a very middle-class background, have a good education and a decent career that I really enjoy, but I'm definitely not rich. Because of this, they view me as a loser. For example, yesterday we made a 2-hour drive to her parents in my newish Honda. When we got there, her mum immediately ordered me to park the car behind the house so the neighbors wouldn't see it. She was furious we didn't bring girlfriend's Land Rover, which they bought her as a birthday gift this year. Girlfriend doesn't like to drive on long trips, and I'm not allowed to drive the Land Rover, per her parents, so we brought my Honda. Girlfriend's dad has never spoken to me directly. Even when she introduced me the first time, he turned to her and said, "What does he do?" So we went in the house and I gave her dad the usual, "Hi, Merry Christmas," and he gave me the usual disinterested glance. One more example. Last year I made the mistake of bringing a bottle of wine. It was a $25 bottle, which was pricey for me. I even had the wine store lady help me pick it out. Girlfriend's mum told me to put it in the kitchen. They didn't open it while we were there, and she later admitted to girlfriend that they re-gifted it to the housekeeper because it was gas station hooch. We managed to get through the day yesterday without much drama, except the car thing, which I'd normally consider a win. But today, I keep thinking about the whole situation with her family, and wondering if I'm really willing to deal with these people for the rest of my life. Girlfriend and I have tossed around the possibility of getting married more than once, but I know they'll never accept me. If we get married, I have to see them a lot more than once a year. Girlfriend has given up trying to defend me to her parents and just ignores their bullshit most of the time, but I can tell it bothers her too. They bankroll a big chunk of her lifestyle, and I think she's worried they cut her off if she pushes too hard. They threaten to over other things. So, not to sound like an arsehole, but am I wasting my time? Is this relationship doomed? Girlfriend always tells me she doesn't care what her family thinks, but I'm not sure that's true. She always tries to downplay how shitty they are to me, but I know I'll never be good enough for them, even if I'm good enough for her. If I was in your position, OP, I would be backing out of that situation. That's just so disrespectful, disgusting, and I know the girlfriend's response of ignoring their bullshit, it might seem that she's on your side, but it's actually conflict avoidance, isn't it, in the end? I'm not saying it's an easy situation to deal with, it isn't by any means, even though she's 28 years old, that her financial support system, but she's making that choice. I mean, she's allowing you to feel like shit whenever you go round there because they're being disrespectful, because they have control over her. Money is their control and it's working. And in situations like this, I always like to think about your future. Is this going to change anytime soon? You're going to have bigger battles ahead if this doesn't change. Wedding planning, where you live, how you'll raise your kids. They're going to feel like they have a say in all of this because they control her with money. And simply, in the end, you deserve a better partner who'll have your back completely, not just when it's convenient. But a commenter says to the OP, your girlfriend needs to be able to live without her parents' money before you consider marrying her. At the moment, they are waiting you out, but probably do small things to undermine the relationship. They view you as the fun their daughter is having before she settles down for something real. They probably exclude you from vacations they would take her on or family events. When they take a family photo, they probably would ask you to take the photo. Wealthy parents use money to control their adult children, as they have no other avenue to do so, and they are used to being in control of everything. They get the kids addicted to nice things, then make demands to continue the flow. Once they deem it serious, they will work to prevent the marriage as they do not think you'll be able to provide the lifestyle they want for her. They will withdraw funding for a dream wedding. They have legal documents drawn up detailing inheritance, divorce, child support, alimony, etc. for the relationship. They do anything they can to add stress to break it up, and they'll be very good at it. I grew up in a wealthy community, so I've met all sorts of rich people. Your girlfriend's parents are the arsehole sort of rich people, with the importance of material goods they place in the way they act. I'd also wager that they're also probably not as wealthy as they want you to think they are. Opie says, just reading this made me tired. I don't want anything to do with her family's money for pretty much every reason you just stated, though that hasn't stopped her mum from calling me a gold digger. Her parents do control her with money. Girlfriend is a co-owner of a business and has a decent income of her own, but her lifestyle is way beyond what she's bringing in. She's really bad at managing her own money, has never had to make or stick to a budget, and doesn't have much of a grasp on priorities when it comes to spending. Her parents pay for her townhouse and her credit cards. Whenever they get mad at her, they threaten to suspend her cards and she freaks out because she doesn't have any of her own money set aside. Dave replies to the OP and says she's really bad at managing her own money, has never had to make or stick to a budget, and doesn't have much of a grasp on priorities when it comes to spending. And then says, danger. Commenter says, your girlfriend is 28 years old. Have a stable relationship for 3 years and yet daddy is still paying for her stuff? This alone is a red flag for me. People often talk about mama's boys but ignore how equally stupid it is that grown-ass women acting in the same way. If she got her shit together, none of you would have to deal with their BS. Not only she apparently doesn't do it, but also focuses her efforts on making their behaviors look not that bad. That's not a good sign, OP. Imagine a few years from now, your mother-in-law making you look like shit in front of your children, or father-in-law not even looking at your face but spoiling them with a shit ton of expensive gifts you know you'll never be able to buy for them. Because if things keep like this, that's exactly the future you'll have. My advice is have a talk and be honest about how you don't see the situation getting better, how you honestly are tired of it, and offer your support to get her on her own feet and have freedom. If she accepts the help, you guys can make it work. If daddy's money is too important, you'll know that this is a waste of your time. OP updated and said, I posted a few days ago on a throwaway account thinking it probably wouldn't go anywhere, but hoping a few more experienced internet strangers might give me some insight. It got some attention and there was some solid advice, thanks to this user, and a lot of perspective on the whole situation. And I was like, okay, that was enlightening, and went on with my day. Girlfriend was working that night, so there wasn't much to do with all that info at the time, and I fell asleep while attempting to formulate my side of the big talk. Little did I know that the post blew up overnight and made the front page, and girlfriend saw it. I didn't give any names or locations, but there was enough specific information that she had no trouble figuring out it was me. So Thursday, while at work and still unaware of all this, I got a dreaded "we need to talk" text. Yep, all caps, and I was like, well, I'm dead. She was feeling hurt and angry when she sent that text, but she said she had time to read through some of the comments and think about things, and she wasn't as upset when she came to my apartment later. She brought food. She still said I had no right to tell the whole internet about our relationship problems, and I agreed and apologized. She knows I'm writing this update and she's going to read it before I post. The reason for that being she admitted the internet actually made some good points regarding our relationship problems. We talked for a long time Thursday night. She said she knows her parents treat people like shit and that they control her and her siblings with money. It's particularly a cultural thing, according to her. Girlfriend was born and raised in the US, but her parents grew up rich in a different country and moved here a long time ago. She said they had a hard time assimilating with upper-class Americans and flaunt their wealth because they're socially insecure. Girlfriend also implied that kind of behavior was a lot more acceptable in their home country in the 1980s, and they never changed. She grew up seeing them act that way and, at least when she was younger, thought it was normal. On top of that, girlfriend's mum was/is emotionally and physically abusive. She said her mum used to slap her for talking back and once cut up all of her girlfriend's clothes and bedding after an argument over her going out with some high school friends. Girlfriend said she's still afraid of her mum and has a hard time standing up to her. She also got very little affection from her parents growing up. It seems like that was all replaced with material things. So to her, being cut off from her family financially is the same as being cut off emotionally. All that being said, girlfriend doesn't expect me to visit her parents again. She was very apologetic about how they treated me and also about not calling them out. She was really hurt that I said I thought I was wasting my time in the earlier post, and I said I was sorry, and I am. I was still raging a little when I wrote that. I asked her about maybe letting her parents cut her off financially and living on her own. It wouldn't mean she had to go no contact, but their relationship would be based on something other than money. We've been talking about moving in together for a while now, and she actually suggested she move out of her townhouse that her family pays for and into my apartment. I'm totally fine with this. We've been together for almost 3 years, and I think I would have moved in together a while ago if her parents weren't so against it. She's really nervous about being on her own financially, but she's willing to try it. We spent hours yesterday going through her finances and coming up with a budget. It's going to be a big change in how she lives and thinks about things. I'm managing my expectations as far as spending is concerned. No one can change their habits overnight. We're not combining our finances or putting her name on the lease. The plan for now is to split the cost of rent and utilities, and she asked me to put her on an allowance for spending her own money. She also gave me the credit cards her parents pay for and told me to hide them. It's weird to me to have this much control over another person's finances. We're going to give it until my lease is up in March. My apartment is a little small for both of us and all of our stuff, and then assuming this all works out, will look for a place to officially live together. She isn't going to tell her parents right away, but she promised she will before March. Edit, to everyone who's wondering, her parents are from Mexico. Girlfriend has a job and her own income. She is the co-owner of her business and makes a decent living on her own, just not nearly enough to fund the kind of lifestyle she's used to. Also, before you say, she shouldn't have been mad that he posted about their relationship on Reddit. Please for 1 second put yourself in that situation. You're casually browsing the front page and find a post about your personal life that was obviously written by your boyfriend and makes you sound like a complete piece of shit. In that same post, your boyfriend says he's thinking about breaking up with you. That's now just out there for the whole world to read. You can't say that wouldn't be alarming. She said it felt like a slap in the face, which made me feel pretty shitty for posting it at all. All things considered, I think she was pretty reasonable about it. Ultimately, she was cool about me posting the update, and actually wanted to make sure I thanked Reddit for the perspective. No, she is not demanding to approve this update. She's just involved now, as she should be since she's half of this relationship. Is that an Ultra Online reference? In the comments, Wand of Magic Missile says, "Dude, that's wonderful to hear. This is a really good eye-opener for her. She should bring everything she can of hers little by little to a safe location, so her parents can't just decide that all of her stuff actually belongs to them somehow." A reply to that says, "Tell her to grab any and all of her official documents, passports, birth certificates, saving bonds from her parents. If they feel they can control her financially, they may also restrict access to those types of documents." The other commenter says, "I wish you luck, though I'm very skeptical about her pulling through. She happily took money from her parents until now, being 28. It'd have been one thing to have a savings account filled by them, but they sponsored most of her lifestyle. So yeah, good luck." And if I'm being completely honest, I kind of felt like that last comment, skeptical about the relationship. I think it's just going to be such a big change. And I know they're taking baby steps at the moment, and I really do hope things work out and she's able to move away from her parents because, you know, the mum in particular as well, abusive, sounds awful. But I also wonder how the parents are going to react once they catch on to what's happening, once they realize that they're losing that control of their daughter. They're not going to like that at all, I don't think. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.